Guess what day it is? I'm back. That means it must be Wednesday. So, what do you say we talk about the most haunted forest in the world? Shall we? Let's get into it. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Excited to be here. I hope you are too. If you are new here, we talk about historically haunted locations. We love to dive into the history and talk about who or what could be haunting them. If that just happens to be something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell because I am here for you every Wednesday. Last week we talked about the Villisca Axe Murder House. If you haven't heard of it or would like to just watch my video, I'll link it up here for you. Now today's video is awesome. It is about a super haunted forest. Now I've known about this place for years, but completely forgot about it until my mom brought it up the other day. And today we will be talking about the Hoia Baciu Forest. Now, this forest is right outside of the northwestern Romanian city. I'm honestly not even going to try to pronounce the name of the city, so I'm just going to put it up on the screen for you. So this land pans over 729 acres, so it's pretty big. It's known as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania, and it just so happens to carry the label of the most haunted forest on the planet. Now, this place holds a lot of history. There is evidence that dates all the way back to the Neolithic period. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Neolithic period. We'll go with that. So that means people originally started settling there back in 6500 BC. A long time ago. So that makes it the oldest settlement in all of Romania. So very old. Now, I first heard about this years ago on Destination Truth with Josh Gates. Also, Ghost Adventures visited this place. I mean, what place has Ghost Adventures not been to yet that's really haunted? I mean, seriously. Now, this forest is very strange. The trees there don't grow normally. They don't go straight like normal trees. Instead, they bend and spiral, and all in a clockwise direction. How weird is that? All the trees in a clockwise direction. Just weird. Many scientists have been out to the area and have no idea on why the trees grow that way. They are also covered in this unexplainable charring substance, kind of like they've been burned. Really strange. There's also a mist in the forest, and it will thicken during certain parts of the day. Now, there is this place inside the forest that people call the dead zone. It's this one part of the forest where it's like a perfect circle, oval area where nothing grows. There's no trees, no bushes, no nothing. They say that whenever you step into the dead zone, you will feel eerily removed from the rest of Transylvania. Now, in this episode of Destination Truth that I watched, Josh Gates actually tested the soil in the dead zone. And according to their findings, there is nothing special about the soil. There's no reason why nothing is growing in that area of the forest. It's like literally a wall of trees around this circle field area, and it's just nothing. It's just weird. Very strange. Now let's talk about the legends of the forest. The locals have stories that have been passed down for generations. They usually tell them to their children to either help them behave or to stay away from the forest. Now, the oldest story that is told today is how the forest got its name. Now, a long time ago, there was a shepherd, and his name was Hoia Baciu. Now, he was a shepherd of about 200 sheep, and these sheep ventured into the forest. So they say that he went after them, and the mist and trees swallowed them up, never to be seen again. Not even bodies were found. Now, if I was told this when I was a child, I would have been legit traumatized. No joke. The next story that's told is about a 5-year-old girl. Now, this girl went into the forest and wasn't seen for 5 years. She surprised everyone when she came back, unaged and unchanged. Unfortunately, she had no memory of where she was or what happened. Now let's talk about the Hoia Baciu Forest now. believe it or not, it's a popular tourist attraction. They do ghost tours there. There are many trails and many markers to help you find your way back to civilization. Makes me feel a little bit better, but I don't think I'll be visiting this place soon. You'll understand once we get to the ghost stories. Now, to some people, this forest is a pleasant place. Some people will go there for a walk, no experiences whatsoever. They'll just be having a very nice day and a very nice walk. But for others, it's a terrifying place to go. Let's get into the hauntings. Now, as I said in the beginning, this forest is supposedly the most haunted forest in the world. People who are just walking outside of the forest along the tree line say that they'll feel like they're being watched. Many people believe this place is a burial site for murdered Romanian peasants from back in the early days. But honestly, I couldn't find any proof of that, but doesn't mean it's not true. Now, it did start getting its fame all over the world when a military technician took a picture of what he claimed was a UFO hovering over the clearing back on August 18th of 1968. He would eventually get kicked out of the military because of this, unfortunately. But many people will see glowing orbs in the trees, shadows, and some have even been scratched. People will hear giggles from women or even screams from children. Also, deer or horse hoof sounds, like they're walking around but you can't see them anywhere. Now, here's what's scary to me. Some will just see faces appearing in front of them. Like, how's it even possible? You just see a random face? Okay. Some will say they see these green glowing eyes. Like, if you have a flashlight, like animals' eyes, don't they reflect, right? So I don't know what color they reflect. Like, couldn't it just be animals? I don't know. Who knows? When my mom brought this up the other day, we actually ended up watching the show Destination Truth about the forest. And let me tell you, they had some crazy experiences while they were there. The very first thing they started experiencing were floating lights in the distance. And it's not like they were above the trees. It was like maybe someone was holding a torch or like a campfire or something. They had split up by this time. Josh got on his walkie-talkie and asked everyone to turn their headlamps off because he was like, maybe it's someone on my team and their headlamp. So they all turned them off and he's like, well, that's not it. So they immediately started running after this thing. But unfortunately, someone tripped as they were running, and whenever they looked up to try to go after it again, it was gone.
Light, right? Coming right through the trees there.
I see it, but it keeps
right there. You see it?
Once they finally got to the clearing, they did start experiencing those glowing orbs again. This time it was up in the tops of the trees, and there were a few of them. Josh ended up pointing his thermal imaging camera up to the orbs, and they weren't emitting any type of heat at all. And then eventually they just disappeared too. They were gone.
Photos with it.
Look at that, in the woods.
What do you got? What do you got? What do you got?
Look through the trees.
Not on thermal.
It is moving.
Come on. Where is it?
Here is the crazy thing. You ready? So Josh really wanted to investigate this clearing because it was super interesting to people there. Something about witches haunting it, maybe. I don't know. That's what they mentioned in the show, but I didn't read anything about that, so I think it's just another local legend that they talk about when you're there. But he really was interested in this clearing, so what he wanted to do was get each person on his team to go out and sit in the middle of the clearing. They would have their camera that's on their backpack, they'd have a camera right in front of them, and then they would have a camera like maybe 8-10 feet away from them facing them. Well, Josh decided that he was gonna go first. And I think while he was there, he might have heard some noises, but I mean, it's the forest, you know, there's a lot of animals. It's really hard to determine what's paranormal and what's just an animal yelling, you know what I mean? But other than that, nothing really happened. Then this next guy on his team went up. He wasn't out there for very long. It was pretty quiet. He was kind of getting a little anxious. He was starting to hear some sounds, and all of a sudden, you see him completely lift up out of frame. Mind you, he was sitting down, okay?
This may sound really weird, but I'm hearing some
Kind of like female voices, but they're kind of barking.
like from different parts of the forest.
Whoa, he's got...
Josh and them run to see if he's okay, because I mean, it was crazy. So they finally found him and they were like, what happened? And he said he felt this rush of air come down onto him and then come at him, and it completely lifted him up and threw him. He was he was shaken. I mean, he was anxious. He was probably traumatized. I mean, who knows? I would have been. So they immediately get him out of the clearing because, you know, who knows what's going to happen next. And he starts to say that he's feeling really itchy, and he's complaining about his arm, and they're covered in layers. Okay, probably got like long underwear on. They've got their regular clothes on, and then they've got maybe a hoodie or a sweater, and then a jacket because it's cold, and then of course they've got gloves on too. He's mainly worried about his arm because it's really itchy. So they pull back his clothes. There's nothing wrong with his clothes or his gloves, so they had to pull back his clothes, take off his glove, and there were claw marks down his arm. I mean, they looked like animal claw marks. It was crazy. Soon after that, another one of their team members got sick, and so they ended up cutting the investigation a little short. After they get back home, Josh decides that he's going to go to ghost hunters, and this is an older video, so they go back to the original ghost hunter people, which was Jason and Grant. So they showed them some pieces of footage that they found that they had captured. They captured a woman's voice, and then they captured scream sounds, which they kind of said what I said earlier, is that they're in the middle of a forest, so it's really hard to tell what those sounds are. So, I mean, they had a very adventurous trip, let me tell you. Do you believe the legends of the 200 sheep and the shepherd? Or what about the 5-year-old girl? What do you think about it? This is a very creepy place. I mean, to some people, it's a beautiful place to go and take a morning hike. When Josh was there asking locals about the place, they were like, don't go. Or if you go, you'll never come back. So, I mean, you know, very sketchy. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. But I will see you guys next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.